What if I told you that our entire understanding of life, that straight line from birth to death, might be completely wrong? Today, we're diving into a really wild theory that reframes our biology through the lens of a powerful ancient symbol, the serpent eating its own tail.
I mean, we all kind of think so, right? There's a clear beginning, a middle, and an end. It's simple, it's linear. But what if it's not? What if that whole model is just wrong?
While the Ouroboros theory says, nope, not a line. It argues our biology is actually a self-sustaining recursive loop. It's this constant, beautiful cycle of creation, destruction, and renewal, and it's all happening inside of us, right this very second. Okay, so let's dive into the core idea here. Life's unending loop. We're going to see how this ancient symbol isn't just some cool myth, but a surprisingly spot-on model for the very systems that are keeping you alive. The whole magic of the Ouroboros is that it's self-sufficient. It doesn't need anything from the outside world. It feeds itself, creating this closed, eternal system. And the theory is that our bodies work in a very similar way, as these incredibly complex, self-contained biological machines that are always renewing themselves. So what powers this whole loop? Well, it all comes down to a fundamental tension. It's this constant push and pull inside you between the part of you that is totally fixed and the part that is always changing. So on one hand, you've got your static nature. This is your blueprint, right? Your fixed DNA code, that unchangeable core. But on the other side, you've got your dynamic nature. This is the part that's always in flux, adapting through mutations and these things called epigenetic changes, which are basically like little sticky notes that tell your genes when to turn on and off. You are, at the same time, both the solid rock and the flowing river. And listen, this isn't just some philosophical concept. Not at all. This conflict is a physical reality literally built into the architecture of our cells. It's the blueprint and the construction crew working in the exact same space. Get this, our DNA is actually organized into loops. Some of them are static. They provide the stable, long-term scaffolding for our genome. But then you have these other dynamic loops, and they're constantly forming and unforming to turn genes on and off whenever they're needed. It's this perfect physical blend of permanent structure and real-time flexibility. All right, you might want to buckle up for this next idea. Let's talk about what you actually are, because it's probably not what you think. So if we count them up, you are made of roughly 30 trillion human cells. That's an insane number, right? That's the you that you think you know. But you are also home to about 39 trillion microbial cells. We're talking bacteria, viruses, fungi, the whole shebang. They actually outnumber your own cells. So who's really running the show here? This brings us to a really cool concept, the human holobiont. Basically, it means that biologically speaking, you aren't an individual. You are a walking, talking ecosystem. You're a superorganism where your cells and all your tiny microbial tenants work together as one single unit. And there it is again, right? Another one of these core tensions, unity versus multiplicity. You operate as one single person, but you're made of this absolute riot of different life forms. You are at the very same time one and many. It's pretty wild. Okay, so if you've got this impossibly complex system, how on earth does it actually run? Well, it runs on the engine of the Ouroboros, creative chaos. It turns out our biology doesn't just put up with a little instability, it absolutely needs it to survive and evolve. The whole system is governed by these four pillars. You've got symmetry and balance, which give you order and stability. And then you've got unity and paradox, which are the real drivers of action, adaptation, and all the cool innovative stuff. Let's look at them as two teams. The static pair, that's symmetry and balance, they're like this system's architects. They maintain stability, keeping your body temperature at a nice 98.6. But the recursive pair, unity and paradox, that's your engine for progress. That's the team that's always pushing for change and driving evolution forward. Now, this quote from the source material sounds totally backward, right? The deterministic system mandates randomness to survive. I mean, how can a system that's built on rules actually require chaos to stay alive? Well, your adaptive immune system is the perfect answer. It doesn't have a pre-made weapon for every new bug out there. Instead, it uses controlled random mutation, a really productive form of chaos, to just generate millions of different antibodies, hoping that one of them is the perfect key to unlock that new invader. It's literally evolution on fast forward.
and it's happening inside you right now.
All right, so this is all fascinating stuff, but let's bring it back to the real world. How does a framework like this actually help us understand our own health and maybe even tackle the most complicated diseases we face?
Well, take something like cancer. It's a perfect Ouroboros problem, isn't it? It's a fundamental breakdown in the whole system. It's this tragic conflict where the drive for stability, the static part, loses the battle to the uncontrolled, chaotic growth of the dynamic part. This theory gives us a whole new way to see that internal war.
The thing is, the human brain, on its own, can't possibly keep track of all these different loops and forces all at once. So how in the world are we supposed to map this inner universe and actually do something about it?
The proposed solution is pretty awesome, a human-AI partnership called the cognitive spiral. It kicks off with a human spark. A doctor sets the goal. Then AI amplifies that, mapping out all the patient's biological data. This leads to human insight, where the doctor uses that map to make the big decision. And finally, the outcome gets fed back into this iterative loop, making the whole system even smarter for the next go-around.
So after all this complexity, the loops, the dualities, the chaos, what is the point of it all? The theory suggests it all boils down to one singular truth, this irreducible, core drive to persist, to endure, and to propagate. The goal is just to keep the loop going.
And that leaves us with one final thought. If our biology really is a self-sustaining loop, constantly feeding on itself, then every single choice we make, every action we take, well, that's the input for the next cycle. So the real question becomes, what are you going to put into your loop?